obviously I presented to you the case of what I want to do with RecoverHUB.
Yes.
And there's that property, 18,000 square meters in the DF that I have, where we can live, we can construct an entire new hospital, right? But in my journeying, I've managed to find a good partnership with RecoverHUB, which you've already been introduced to. Now, what happens with RecoverHUB is it's aftercare facility, which I don't want to necessarily get involved with primary detox because there's a lot of responsibility in that. Now, what I've now decided to do is look at having about 200 beds that we get a wing developed in clinics, which is Solomon Sticks Morera, which is the rehab where I was, and then we deploy workforce in there, and then we train workforce, which are counselors, addiction recovery counselors, your nurses that deal with the particular patient care requirements there, and the pharmacists that deal with that, and the nurses that care for them in-house. Now, that's obviously under Adicare. I think you saw the breakdown of what Adicare was. Now, what my main focus as RecoverHUB is to make sure I can do the patient monitoring. So once they get discharged from hospitals, the main business, the core business is making sure that they are enrolled in programs, which means that they have constant checkups with doctors. That's where your business value add comes in. Workshop them and their families. So the family therapy side and the individual counseling side, which then we can mediate as well. But I mean, that's not necessarily a medical response, that's more of a social response. But within the medical space, psychological and psychiatric evaluations, those are the things that I would need. Then the third thing is, if we do have chronic patients, those would be people that I would need you guys to obviously take care of, and then we mitigate most of the risk, especially when they're in halfway houses, so that they know when they're getting checked up, they have a particular allocated doctor, which is in proximity, because now most of these doctors are very far from them. So you go into rehab, you get into rehab, they probably take you to the nearest clinic or hospital, which is close by, because at the treatment facility, they don't really do those type of operations and so on and so forth. So when they then eventually get discharged, these are certain hindrances that they would find where now I don't trust my doctor, where do I get consultation? And the language barrier of the specialist also mess them up. So the consultation and guidance to say, okay, we'll walk you through to better support and make sure that they don't relapse. And then obviously it's the drug tests that we need to conduct, because our time base is saying that we want to patient monitor for about 1 year, so that when we place this person, we've got a provable record to say this guy has maintained his sobriety for this long, and now we basically vouch for him in work, and then it becomes a value add support to say, okay, whilst he's got the job for between 1 to 3 years, this is what we will say, and acclimatize a portion of his salary to this program so that he can pay it forward. So that's it. That's it in a nutshell. The first pilot, we're looking at about 80 patients, yeah. And I wanted to do a litmus test with these guys who are coming out on the 14th of December. That might be a little bit too early, because we still need to fundraise to build the 200 units in the clinic. But I do have a potential funder, and once I've got practice numbers and agreements in place, those people will be able to liquidize my vision. But obviously under administration, so every role player would determine what their budget need would be, and based on the forecast, and then we'd say, okay, for this pilot, let's come up with an MOA which covers everybody. So we've got MOA with hospital, we've got MOA with doctors, outpatient doctors, because once they leave the rehab facility, there's no outpatient doctor. They have to come back to the hospital. So this is a gap I feel is quite good, and we can definitely target social development and see how we can create an empowerment agreement that says, okay, to the people that can't afford medical aid, because there are people who can afford medical aid, but to the ones who can't, and what kind of arrangement can we set up with them? So that's it in full view. What do you think, Dr. K?
So how far are you?
Preliminary stages with the agreements with Letabo House, but obviously they're waiting on you for practice number for us to legitimize. And on Friday, we have a meeting with the office of the MEC to finalize that they're compliant and all of that, and making sure that we're all in order. And the funders have already had sight of the proposal. They're ready to move once compliance is in order. And that's $5 million. So, yeah.
I'm fine.
Thank you for the presentation. Okay. Thank you for all the information that you have furnished me with. I think I'll share it with the doctors as well. In terms of all that information, I've given them some, but I saw there's more that you said over today. So from me, the first thing I wanted to ask is the relationship, your relationship with Letabo. Because while I'm asking you this, you've mentioned Letabo. And Letabo, to us, they came in exactly like what you've done. They came as Letabo. Without, is it Letabo or Letabo? He came as himself without mentioning you. He just mentioned you.
We didn't know that. I didn't know him before.
Yes, I know. We are the ones who actually told you about you.
Okay.
Yes, of your plan.
Letabo is the guy you went to on Monday.
Yes, that's the guy. So now I have to figure out that one. So I want to know now the relationship now, because right now I'm sitting with Letabo, who is waiting to talk to me, or rather to have an agreement with me. And here you are coming also talking about Letabo. I'm trying to understand the relationship between the two of you.
So what's happening is, remember, RecoverHUB is aftercare, after support services. So it's just a service provider involved in facilities. So what I was trying to do is establish an entire value chain. So I don't want to get involved in primary care, but it's not impossible to earn from primary care. So I'll take a facility that has space. Let's build in there, but I need the group, the human capital and the expertise to be able to say, this is how we can operate it. Because I'm not an operator.
Okay. I'm asking on the Letabo.
Yeah, so I'm just giving you the steps of, so there's the hospital. We don't have to get involved in that, but we participate in that. So the funding, how it's structured. Then there's Letabo House, which is an aftercare facility, which is a halfway house, what they call a halfway house. Now, all I need to do there is, that's where I can conduct my patient monitoring scheme. And I say, okay, you are housing them, because I don't want to get involved in that dynamic.
So these are two projects, if I'm getting
so basically,
there's this project for Dante. It's called what, Dante? Wait, is it
Didier.
That's a project for Didier.
That's completely greenfield. That's a greenfield. Yeah, it hasn't been built yet.
Okay.
But in order to prove the viability of that, I'd rather we put that on ice and we start with what is practical, what is established, and what we can just plug into and pay a minimum.
Are we talking about Letabo now?
Letabo and Solomon Sticks Moreno Hospital.
So it's all understanding very well. We are just the
medical operator, licensed practitioner, and then in terms of what we want to do with Edicare, we become our training partner to make sure that the adequate human capital is competent and compliant.
Okay, so you are going to build your facilities, put a primary health care after that.
So that's what we do as a group.
Yeah.
That's what we do as a group. So that's then going
For
to
now,
be
you need our paperwork.
Absolutely.
For us to go into memorandum of understanding. That's what you want.
That's it.
Okay, so maybe it's premature because you're still going to tell me what's happening right here. So what else would be required from us? Just for us to agree that yes, you'll be the partner. But what else would be required from us?
Costing for the patient, with cost
How
the
we are
consultation, and then obviously we share on margin there. So there's the actual cost, then there's profitability for Dr. Kutlas and Matibula and partners, and then there's RecoverHUB share. And then you'll say this is what we get based on the flow that you bring here like this. After this process, without being able to show the track record of saying this person has come for checks in 6 months. So each client has a lifespan with you for 6 months, and we need to cost that and come up with a forecast of how we manage that. Where do they go for these consultations? Do we do it mass? Do we do it upon appointment? Those are the different fundamentals that can be unpacked.
So send me a list of what you want.
Alright.
If you have drafted memorandums that you have, just share. Then you give me a wish list. Then I'll work back.
Yeah, I think in principle we're definitely not opposed to this. It's something that we oppose. It's just the final details. How practical? What is it that you require from us? How are we going to benefit? Like that, how are we going to?
Because I did give a full cost.
You guys must make money as well. As well as the patient is the important person.
So I think the benefit element from us, apart from the discussion that we had, it's more the consultations. Consultation, primary medication. That's what the drugs, the medication.
Yes.
Administration. Because I think what they really want from us is more of that.
That you say we've got a plan.
They cannot keep medication and all those things
because in aftercare they shouldn't be methadone as well. So those are the types of things where, in terms of diagnosing patients that come in, because we want to minimize risk, because our deal value is making sure. So RecoverHUB is saying, now this is your support system. Once you get working, so that we make sure you don't get overexcited and relapse. Because once you relapse, you're dead, or you're in crime again, you don't lose your house and mismanaged. Your life is unmanageable. As an addict, my life is unmanageable forever. So it's now, what are the control measures that I'm placing to make sure now the community of Soweto is not going to have this problem? Because it's not treatment that's the problem, it's recovery that's the problem. People don't maintain their recovery. So that's the primary problem we have to solve.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
Okay.
I think fair enough. I think what we can do, give me that wish list.
I will do that.
And then draft MOUs and all those things, whatever you can that you're thinking. You want us to proceed.
Okay,
what
direct with RecoverHUB, no
Yes.
other parties.
Yes.
Perfect.
So like what Dr. K is saying, principle in agreement.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's just those final details that we just need to tune in. Bring me everything that you want, then we can see if you can sign off those MOU together.
Perfect.